Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and ladies. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. No, it is not customary, and I promise you, I am live. As although I had the traditional countdown timer going there for the yards gives you. There's a purpose for that tonight. Before I get into it, I'm going to give everybody a warning. Please have a box of tissues. I cannot promise you that a tear is not going to be shed. Before we get there, is to give everybody a few moments time to get that self situated, and because, like I said, it is tonight is going to be emotional. I just have the feeling that it will be. Gonna stop out here and say hello to everybody. Hello, Miss Justice. I was typing to you earlier a little while ago. Hello, Truth Finder. Sheba Mom, and Radmilla Roxon, Rioxon. I apologize if I mispronounce any of these names. Please feel free to give me a pronunciation. I am the worst at pronouncing names. Sue Lawson, thank you very much. Carrie, one of my beloved modders, is here with us, and Miss Cosplay will be along a little bit. Miss Lorraine, thank you very much for coming out tonight. Sending you good karma. Thank you very much for coming out as well. Kathy Niffin, thank you for coming out. Tammy Crimes, I appreciate you coming out as well. Who said what? Thank you very much. I see you. I see you as well. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Oh, Johnson City. Okay. Hello, my neighbor, sort of. I'm up in Kingsport myself, Kingsport area. Tammy Crimes, thank you very much for liking and sharing this information out. That is exactly what my channel is based on: getting the word out there, getting the message out there through sharing and sharing this and liking this. If you're not have not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so that notification bell, so you know I go live. This is and will ever be the only channel that will never ever get have that button to hit for monetizing when it comes to true crime. I'm not faulting anybody that's into true crime that does so. That's their business. This channel, however, will never have that opportunity. I'll never hit that button. Real Rock and Robin, thank you very much. Mary Owens, thank you for coming out. Juicy Jules, thank you as well. September Virgo, thank you. Again, guys, ladies and gentlemen, if you're here, you're going to want to have a box of tissues, because I'm going to read something that I had actually typed out, and I struggled emotionally typing it. So this is going to, I'm not guaranteeing that you won't have a tear tonight. I titled tonight 55,209,600 seconds. Before we get started tonight, does anybody know what that means? Lorraine Aldrich, thank you very much for coming out. I appreciate it. Very real. That's a very true answer. Real Rock and Robin. Way too long. Way too long. Miss Justice is exactly right. It's the amount of time in seconds that Summer has been missing. Sugar Mama, yes, that is exactly right. Hello to you. I see you. That's exactly right. 21 months today. Peas in a pod, thank you for coming out. I see you waving over there. Yes. How many seconds? Juicy Jules, thank you for coming out. I appreciate it. Well, I did let you all know that you might want to have a box of tissues. We're going to start with that. As children, we have all cherished every second we spent on a playground, a swing in the backyard, or a trip to the local park to play. And even the moments we had to see our friends at school and on a bus each day. When we start to become teenagers, we lose sight of those seconds, and those seconds turn to countless minutes slipping by. Still, we look forward to seeing our first crush and then first dance with the new significant other. Then we are the lucky ones that made it to adulthood, and those seconds and minutes slip into measuring the quarter, half, and hour of a day as the important measurements. We are the lucky ones that get to look forward to the first legal drink, finding the love of our lives, and working hard to achieve the best we can as an adult. 55,209,600 seconds have slipped away since summer disappeared at some point today. Some say it was in the early afternoon, and the parents say it was just after 6 p.m. And since then, it is in that time that the parents and neighbors of Summer Wells have misled, twisted, and tweaked information to try to change the narrative of not having summer. As we turn to spring in just a few more days and past the 21-month mark and heading towards summer, the 2-year anniversary, I can only hope that the pressure is only mounting on those that are responsible for what happened to summer. It is nearly unimaginable, in my opinion, that Summer was kidnapped. But instead, it is more. But instead, as more time passes, more likely that it was the parents. No matter the frailty they portray here on YouTube, I hope that the events of today's custody hearing shakes them to the core, and they finally come forward with the truth, as they have yet to bear in Summer's name. It's not only the family, the relatives, whether they are near or far, but it is the community that has surrounded Summer Wells, raising up her name when the parents would not, that we as a community need answers more so than the parents. It isn't that I wish no ill will to the parents, but it's time for them to come forward and tell the truth. Damn the consequences of what may be. The truth and the answers must be known. The real Rock and Robin. You have it exactly right. We need to find Summer. We need Summer found. Like I said, guys, I apologize if you all had tears during that. I had a tough time typing that out today, and I woke up with that on my mind. She would have been, if she at the time that she disappeared, she was 5 years old, about to be 6, and just half of a year, 7 months, 8 months later. And now she would have been 7. Do you remember where you were when you were 7? What you experienced for the first time when you were 7? Please forgive me, everybody. I'm just remembering, not going to forget the people that came in here. VTech, thank you very much. for joining us. Jackie11, thank you very much for joining us. BB Diamond, thank you for joining us. Hello, Ziggy. How are you doing? Do you remember what you were doing when you were 7 years old? How you the probably if you were anything like me, the first thought you wanted to do, you woke up in the morning and you wanted to go outside and play in the playground, go outside and play in the backyard. It's the only thing that was on your mind. Exploring exploring the area, the neighborhood you lived in. I lived in apartments when I was 7 years old. And to me, it was always go out in the playground or go hang out with the guys in my neighborhood and throw a baseball around. Or even my personal thing was always we love street hockey. We love to play street hockey in my neighborhood. It's a Philadelphia thing. You either play street hockey or you played half ball. Half ball. Which is, for those who don't know, it's a tennis ball cut in half, and you use a stick thinner than a baseball bat. Rockin' Robin, you said you remember having a great childhood with parents that really loved them. Didn't have the best of everything, but exactly. But when we talk about Summer Wells, we don't have that. I found it very ironic, and I'm not knocking anybody. I'm not trying to. I'm not even putting a spotlight on what channel this was on that I caught this. In fact, I don't remember what channel it was when I caught that. Where I caught this at the moment. I was flipping through channels, and somebody in a comment of some sort made a point of saying that Summer did, and the boys didn't have it as bad as some other people, some other kids their own age. I sat there and I was floored. Outside of being a third world country, which we are obviously blessed to not be part of, we have we're a first world country. You know, we the ideas of a child not being bathed properly, not having a bicycle to ride, not having the clothes on the back that are appropriate for a season. It's unheard of. Even for the persons that are the poorest in this country, they still have more than somebody that is in the third world country. Annabelle Roma, thank you for coming out, as well as Vanna Reeves, thank you very much. They had freedoms, sure. They could go outside, ride a bike, swing on a tree swing. Lisa Kletchner, thank you very much. True Colors 3, thank you. I see you waving. Tammy Crimes, thank you. I think I already said hello to you earlier, but I just saw your name to make sure I said hello. They had freedoms of being able to go outside as if you were raised in a house and you had a fenced-in backyard, you can go outside, probably had a swing set or a tree swing or something to climb on, monkey bars or some sort of something you could do. A lot of boys, we prefer to dig in the dirt. Give us some gardening tools and a Tonka truck, and we were set for the afternoon to explore what was underneath, what was we were digging in the dirt. You don't even have that information about Summer Wells. Her parents can't get the story straight of she was a girly girl, dresses and dancing, twirling around, or she was a tomboy, running around chasing the boys, being the boss of the boys. September Virgo, you got exactly what I mean, though. True Crime Obsession, thank you for joining us. I appreciate that. Real Rock and Robin, you're exactly right. But even with the swing, besides her Paw Patrol, her swing, and twirling, we have heard nothing. We've not heard anything about summer playtime. You're right. But even that swing, I tell you, is in controversy. One of the vehicles that were parked outside of the house was blocking the swing. Had no engine, just a broke down truck that later got moved to where the other vehicles were. Every single thing the parents tell you, except for what you catch on video, is all questionable. I can't imagine being 5 years old and not at least having a playground to go play in. It was about age 7 or 8 for myself that I can remember that it was the age that the curfew got turned to. Okay, you're old enough. The street lights come on. You got to come in. That's now your curfew. Granted, they're out in the country, so they wouldn't necessarily have the street lights to be say, "Hey, that's your curfew." But I grew up in a city. Blank, thank you for coming out and joining us. Janice, you as well. Whisper at Midnight, glad to see you as well. It's in those moments that you can recall of your own childhood and your teen years and your earlier adulthood and up to your current own age that you can honestly say you can relate to Summer because those are the things that she will never experience in life. The joys that you did, whether it's being, if you're a man, becoming when you get married and have a family and you get to hold your child for the first time, or you're a woman and and you have the joy of becoming pregnant or being pregnant and going through that whole experience of pregnancy. Granted, yes, I know not all women bear through that well, but still, it's an experience you never forget for the rest of your life. Where Summer 1-800 TBI fine. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming out. And you're exactly right, where Summer. We all have. We all sit there, and every single time they go on a panel for some other channels, for some channel on YouTube, we cringe. It's like the old saying about watching a train about to be in an accident. You know you should look away, but you can't. Last month on the anniversary date, I said it was a 20 months, the saddest time of No Summer Wells. Today, I can honestly feel in my heart that this is worse. And it's only going to get worse. The more that they speak and do not tell what the truth is. Diane Solomon, thank you very much for coming out tonight. Vanna Reeves, exactly. You actually just you took the words exactly out of my head. The more they speak, they prove only one thing. They care about themselves, not Summer. We don't often talk about the boys on this channel, but it's actually the you can actually include that they don't talk about the boys. The boys are just as much as of a victim of this as Summer is. I don't talk about the boys because they deserve the respect of not being talked about on social media so they can live as normal a life as they possibly could. If they had never ran from TBI in the first place, if they had never ran from TBI and avoided back in October of 2019, when the whole domestic violence, and please, anybody that's a victim of domestic violence, this channel stands with you. We are not here to point fingers at you or anything like that. Please understand, I'm not trying to make any situation that you went through any worse or any lighter than what I'm talking about. It's a tragedy what you went through. The event that happened in October, if the Wells did not consistently run away, every time they either showed up or had an appointment, they would hide. I honestly believe we would never have known the Wells name. We would have never known Summer Wells' name or any of the boys' name. Because the state would have taken over custody of the boys and Summer long ago. Hello, Cindy. Thank you for coming out. Yes, I have been in Nita's chat room. Her and I have had wonderful conversations about Summer Wells. I have no accountability to anything else that has happened in her chat room. So please, if you're going to talk about that, you need to discuss that with Nina, not myself. Hello, Oreo. Thank you for coming out tonight. Summer Wells. Summer Wells is the only thing that matters today. Granted, I did start off saying that a little while ago that there was a custody hearing, which we do not know the results of. But I believe that all indications from previous that this would not have turned out well for what the Wells would have wanted. In their minds, they deserve to have the boys back in their home tonight. I don't see that happening. From everything I know, BB Diamond, it was today. Amalua, thank you for coming out tonight. Appreciate you doing so. Let's go ahead and definitely let's go ahead and remember to send positive energy and prayers or whatever you may believe in towards Amalu. Pug Mom, thank you for coming out. I appreciate your patience. You're doing so. The only deal or bargain, thank you, Rock and Robin, for putting it out there. I believe Don B, if you saw him earlier today, he in my opinion, he got this one right. If the state is taking over custody in lieu of them having any sort of charges, they're going to allow this Wells to walk away clean if they were to willingly give over the rights. And knowing how Don Wells fears another felony, I personally believe that is the outcome that will be had. Find Summer's Truth, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming out tonight. Sugar Mama, I don't think I said hello to you earlier. Thank you for coming out. In all honesty, for the boys alone, that is the best outcome that can happen. Whether Honeybee, Honeycomb, Hideout, thank you very much. Whether it be down the road or not, that they, as they start to age out of the system, that they have to go and make a choice of what they're going to do, and they land up going into military or whatever, they can come out with a career that is going to set them on a path that is so much better. Bailey, thank you for coming out. I appreciate you doing so. At one point in the Summer Wells disappearance, I said, what if Summer Wells' disappearance had a greater purpose than we can imagine? It has exposed a lot of problems in a lot of areas, not just in Tennessee. And those things are the legal recourse is being taken to correct those. But what if more locally? What would it look like if more locally, if it was meant to save the boys? Now, I'm not losing sight that this is really about Summer Wells. Just follow me for a moment. Country Christian, thank you for coming out tonight. Imagine for a moment what that would look like. There's a path in front of the boys, and just like the Ben Hill Road, where it turns off and becomes goes off one way and still is Ben Hill Road, and the other way it turns into I can't remember the road name, right behind the Wells property. Ziggy and I was talking about this show the other night. The road name's not important. They were at the Y in the road. Simpson, that's it. Simpson Loop. They're at that Y. They were at that Y in the road, proverbial Y in the road. Summer's disappearance was the item that steered them in a direction that's going to allow them to grow up and be prosperous and be men in the community. Whereas if Summer Wells' disappearance didn't happen, they would have trudged on in the same direction that their father was leading them. Is that possibly what is happening with the boys? And why them being in state custody is so good for them? As tragic as it is that Summer Wells had to suffer a price that she didn't have to pay, it's a price that she should have never had to pay. She should have never been in the position to be having to pay that price. Rockin' Robin, that's exactly my point. Summer saved her brothers. And as tragic as that is, and that we all want Summer, even though I believe that we're beyond the beyond the stage of having a recovery, excuse me, having a rescue when it comes to Summer Wells, and we're at the point that it's a recovery that will happen. And we all want that to. I'm the first person to say that I want to be absolutely wrong when I say that it's recovery and not rescue. That we have to look at the facts. That this has crossed into the territory of it was Elizabeth Smart and uh, some of the other girls and boys that have been kidnapped, and it's been a long period of time, and then all of a sudden they finally figure out how to get the word out that they're this person and that they need help. And I use Elizabeth Smart because it's the first name that popped in my head. I'm sure the chat you can come up with at least 5 other names of what I'm talking about. Once the boys are secured and out of the way, I seriously hope that TBI, Hawkins County, Rogersville, state police, whoever is willing to sit them down, the parents down, and interrogate them 24/7 if it has to be, does so because Summer deserves to be found. WR, thank you for coming out. Oh, trust me, WR. Um, while my mind tells me, and in my mind, I feel that that is the truth, that it's a recovery, not a rescue. At the same time, I seriously hope that I'm wrong and it does end up being a rescue. MC Lick Lick Pop, thank you for coming out. Pink Butterfly, G Crime, Lisa 54, thank you everybody. Mimi Jean, thank you. Pink Butterfly, I hope your chemo goes very well. German Shepherd Mom, thank you. The no summer, no peace, I agree with. But it has to be done the right way. It has to be the police that brings the hell down on them legally. I know there's been a lot of talk about March 17th and having a search and people trying to organize searches and things like that. Be patient. When you look at all the major protests that have happened in world history, there are two that stand out. What Martin Luther King Jr. did in peace and what Mahatma Gandhi did also in peace were the most successful and well organized as protests ever done. You have to let a system work. Although it's the wheels turn so slowly as they do, they are working. I mentioned this on Ziggy's channel the other night that it was about a year ago, and I've said it on my channel. About a year ago, I believe that this was going to go the way of a grand jury. And then when people are when people get charged, when they return true bills, it's going to shock everybody who gets charged in relation to Summer. Ultimately, they want Summer recovery or rescue. They want Summer to be the final piece of evidence. I just hope that it is not going past 2 years that they decide to go ahead and bring charges to whomever is responsible. Thank you, Carrie Lawson, for putting that in chat. The content in this content and discussion is all opinionated and allegedly. I seriously hope that the people that are responsible get charges turned very soon. At the end of the day, what matters the most is that a clock started that it should never have been started. And it's ticked 55,209,600 seconds. Summer Wells is probably one of the most tragic stories to have ever happened in the Tri-Cities area. Do not think for 1 second the Tri-Cities area doesn't know it. It ranks right up there, and I'm gonna say it ranks above at this point, above what Megan Boswell had done to her daughter, Evelyn, which is a story that we follow here on this channel. We haven't talked about it in a long time because there's been no new information. There won't be any new information until April. Robin, that's a great question. Do I know anything about the searches? Uh, no, they searched everywhere. When they said they searched the property, they searched everywhere. The Ben Hill Road, none of the persons that owned property out there, from my knowledge, had ever prevented them from searching. And that is the surrounding properties of 110 Ben Hill Road. I never heard an issue or heard of an issue that they were being prevented or that a search warrant was requested or anything like that. It was the neighbors wanted Summer found when they found out that a little girl was missing. The searches that I know have or had knowledge of, and unfortunately I lost track of, were about a year ago this time, going leading up to the 1 year anniversary for Summer Wells. I was reviewing an article earlier today from WJHL where they were talking about the PIs doing a search on the 1 year anniversary. The article talks about how the PIs were going to do a search and they were using drones to do a search, the mass area of a search. But in that article, you got to read it carefully because it actually tells you that the PI, and it wasn't just the PIs that were using drones and searching. The police had changed the tactic of how they were searching and were also using drones to cover more area. So, another question is from True Crime Obsession. What do I think about the footprints? The other day I said I have issues with the footprints. Total of 3 footprints supposedly found. One of the footprints and how it was found is starting to raise more questions. Apparently, and I'm still researching this to make sure that this is absolutely true. Apparently, a cadaver dog is the one that found one of the footprints. does not bode well for Summer Wells. If it was Summer Wells's footprint. Now, like I said, I'm still researching that information on that, but it looks to be credible right now. Uh, Find Summer's truth. That is actually absolutely an excellent question. Did anyone ever figure out who the uppers are and who of whom Candace spoke? It's going to be it's going to be who you, depending on who you spoke to. I've heard a couple people say that it's either it's the PIs. I still stick to what I researched though, until proven otherwise. I think it has something to do with the church and the organization of the church. And I could be very wrong. It could be the PIs. But I can't trust Candace saying that. Ziggy, thank you. That's exactly my point of I'm still researching this. It doesn't look good, but it doesn't look good on both sides. Whether you imagine, okay, please understand when I talk about big ideas here, folks, I try to sit there and I look at all sides of it. I was making in my last live, I was making an example of a marble. You can't just look at a marble. You got to twirl it around your hand and take a look at all the different angles. And you got to like really dig into it to see what it is. If the footprint that I think I'm fine, I've been researching in the past day or so is from Summer, it would have meant that somebody hit her in a shed just like Evelyn Boswell. And then at the course of taking her out of the shed, they put a footprint in the mud. That's why I'm saying I have issues with it. I'm still researching it, but if it is true, it does not look good. And I'm not going to say the property's name. If you want to look at a map, it's off of because the person that owned the property is deceased, and I don't believe tarnishing that person's name, which I don't, I highly doubt they had anything to do with Summer Wells. The property is along the there you go, forgetting the street name again. I apologize, folks. Ziggy gave me that street name a little while ago, and I'm trying to go back in my the log here of chat and that StreamYard gives you. Simpson Loop, that's the name. Thank you, September. Thank you, Find Summer's Truth. I honestly, folks, that's how bad I really am with names. I'm sorry. So Simpson Loop, there's back along there. There's a large piece of property that's owned by one person. There's a mobile home back there. On this near the mobile home, there is a shed. It's in that area that is the footprint is most troublesome. It was some Simpson Loop. Somebody just sent me a message in the background. I apologize for laughing. One of my mods sent me a message. It's my apologies. Okay, so it's Simpson Road, but locally they're going to call it Loop. It's Simpson. It's the road that's behind the Wells property that goes along the. It turns off at the Y I was speaking of earlier from Ben Hill Road. It turns into what they try to make it to be a private road by putting a cattle gate across it. It's back in that area. Um, no, not really. It's not. I mean, the dirt is in that area is has a clay does have some clay consistency to it, but I wouldn't call it like a red clay. It's just it's just the dirt that the mountain from the mountains. It's not anything unordinary or out of the normal. No, I actually don't. I don't don't really talk to other local creators. Would I work with them? Sure, but my standard of who I would associate with is high, very high. Yeah, Carrie. Carrie, for anybody that doesn't know, Carrie knows the area just as well as I do. She's been there several times. It's a clay consistency, but I don't know of red clay being there. Yeah, Ziggy, I would. I said I would go back there and meet Fred with you and talk with Fred. Absolutely. I'm not afraid of being on Ben Hill Road like you hear about other people saying they are. Now, granted, am I going to go out of my way and go there when it's dark? No. I'm going to conduct my business during the daylight. There's it's not just this pointing out this holler. It's just it it's not saying there's something wrong with this holler, or although it's given the people from there have given the Tri-Cities areas a black eye that has not gone away yet. It's just you don't go into neighborhoods. I grew up in a big city, folks, and when I grew up, things happened that you saw on the news that when you looked at what happened, it made you realize that there are, and I mean, when I'm saying this, I was not even 8 years old. Bad people are in all different forms and all different roles in the world. Just because somebody lives in a certain neighborhood does not mean they're a bad person. In another live one day, I'll dig deeper into that. It's not related to Summer Wells, so we're not going to worry about that. There is a very real possibility. Ziggy and I were kind of hinting at this the other night. That Summer is in the mountains right behind 110 Bun Hill Road. I honestly believe at this point she was hidden in the mountains behind her home. And searches were never conducted in the areas that she was hidden. All the searching that everybody wants to do, I give you credit. But be careful. Let's not remember what, if I forget this guy's name wrong, please forgive me again. I believe it's Dave Rader and his team came when he came into the Tri-Cities and he tried to search. Does anybody remember what he said about how thick the brush was in that area? His words were after searching, when he was interviewed. I remember this as if it was yesterday. You could go in there shoulder to shoulder with a team of people and you would get nowhere. You wouldn't be able to gain ground. That's how thick it is. You have to deal with the terrain in climbing up. You have to deal with people that would that did not and would not, even if it's their property, they didn't cut down certain sections. It just grew wild. I honestly believe old school, we're going to deputize some locals that we can actually verify or clear of this, like Fred Hill, who would probably have taken his horses up there when he had horses. Ziggy and I were talking about that just the other night. That if you don't do something like that, Jackie 11, you just got my words. Thank you very much. It's a needle in a haystack. We keep bringing up Chimney Top Loop, which is on the backside of the mountain. There is a road that is now called a private road that goes up into the mountain. It's not on Google Maps. The reason it's considered to be a private road is that there was a rock slide and it covered the road. It's the same exact. If you ever saw the video that was done by Don Wells when he went around Chimney Top Loop, He stops at a rather curious spot and just stares up at him into a mountain. And there's a cattle gate there. It's private property. You can see there's a trail that leads back up into the mountain. That's the road that's cut off. Bear with me 1 second, folks. I'm going to mute myself for just a moment here. My apologies. Um, what do you? I apologize, folks. I came back a second ago here. Need to take a drink of water real quick. Lisa Jetton, what do you mean by what road? Candace coming, seeing Candace coming out of the woods. Hello, Trev Time. Thank you for joining me. Out of all the things that happen, could happen, it all boils down to Summer Wells is still missing. Unless these locals, unless these people, the people that want to go out there and search, are going to team up with the police, going to team up with locals that know the mountains, it's fruitless. They have got to get together with the locals that know the wooded area, like Fred Hill, like some of the people that you might scratch your head and go, I don't know if I want to. Back when Summer went missing, there is a piece of property. And for the folks that know my channel, yes, I'm going there. There is a piece of property that's owned by a land trust, and the landowners, some of it is developed, most of it is not. But the landowners have contacted the police, the TBI, FBI, whoever would listen. They've gone and contacted them, and they've said, how can we help? Do you need horses to search? Because we'll bring horses. Do you want to search our ground? You have our permission. We'll come out there and help you. Do you want horses to go up in the mountains with? We'll supply them even if you don't use them on our property. They have done everything to try to aid the police, and they keep getting told, "No, we don't need your help." If you don't know what property I'm talking about, it's right here. Chimney Top Loop. The area that's in the middle of your screen, people live out on the outer edge of Chimney Top Loop, all the way around, with a couple of a couple exception of a couple houses that are on the inside. The land trust that the owners are in Florida own all of this area in here. All of it is owned by one land trust who have practically begged the police to let them help by supplying horses, trail horses, ones that would be great to go up in the mountains with. And the police said, no thanks. Until the searchers get involved with this land trusting, make contact with the land trust, make contact with locals that have horses that are trail horses and know these mountains here that are here between 110 Bell Hill Road and Chimney Top Loop. I don't believe that Summer will be found. I have no knowledge of this is where Summer is. I'm not trying to proclaim that I have the answer. This is where Summer is. I'm saying this range of mountain area has desperately need to be searched because it's the most likely location where Summer would have been hidden. I believe with all my heart that's how they're going to find Summer. Summer Moon, Utah Wells, 6/15/2021. I keep bringing it back to this clock that started. 55,209,600 plus seconds has clicked by, and more so by now. It is unimaginable that, in my mind, that she's still missing. I believe the police do have an idea of what's going on, where the answers are, what the next step is. And I believe the police are working that, but they have to do so carefully. That's why you don't hear about it. And if you contact Ronnie Lawson or the TBI right now, they simply say that the FAQ that they had produced is the only statement that they will make at this time. White female, blonde hair, blue eyes, 40 pounds, 3 feet tall. Last seen wearing gray pants, pink shirt, possibly barefoot. I don't believe that she went down that dog trail. I don't believe that somebody kidnapped her. I believe 100% this is the negligence of the parents. Whether I'm right and it's a heat related illness or some sort of other illness that and the parents covered it up, that is where my mind goes in this. Maybe I'm naive and don't want to believe that it's that the parents had done it, like outright done it. But I believe their neglect in not taking her to the hospital when she was in dire need of health care was the ultimate cause of what happened to Summer. Somewhere in those mountains, I believe Summer is. If you are involved in wanting to go out there and search with the people that are trying to organize searches, please take back to them an idea of getting together with locals that know the mountain ranges, that know the terrain, know the ins and outs. Even though the Tri Cities does not speak of it all the time, they will work with people that are trying to do right by Summer Wells. What the Tri Cities area does not want is the drama side of it. The drama side coming down from YouTube into the Tri Cities. The reason that the Tri Cities area will not issue a permit for any gathering this year for Summer Wells is just that. Tri Cities area does not want the drama. Everybody in the Tri Cities area that knows of Summer Wells, they want Summer Wells found, and they want the persons that did this, person or persons that did this, to be held accountable. But they want it done in the way that the Tri Cities area lives. Tri Cities area moves at its own pace. It gets things done the way it's going to get things done. It's like living here and then moving to New York City, expecting New York City to adjust to you. It's not going to happen. New York City is still going to move with the pace that it moves. A New York minute is a second. A lot happens in a second. Down here, we mosey along, to use a Southern phrase. Something that would take New York City, that New York second, that New York minute, will take 15 minutes here. Trev Time is exactly right. If you team up with locals, get locals involved in a respectful manner, like I'm telling you, it's a total 180 degrees of what happened and why they don't, what the Tri Cities area doesn't want. That drama. Summer Wells. It all comes back to Summer Wells. No matter the events of the day, I could sit here and run down the events of the day, and I question some of them ever happened, like Sonic. It all starts at 110 Ben Hill Road. Other than a few times that they would have been seen on camera, all the issues started with 110 Ben Hill Road. Although I believe that the moment that the illness had begun, like I said, I believe that it was heat sickness. Was that priceless at the grocery store? The issue still is Ben Hill Road. I'm not saying every single person on Ben Hill Road had something to do with this. Lord knows there are some people that I don't believe could have lifted a finger to hurt a kid. The people that lived on Ben Hill Road, and I mean 4 specifically, either were directly involved, in my opinion, or have had dirty knowledge at this point that they should be held accountable for not telling the police what they know. And instead, they run onto YouTube, splish splash around in water and in mud and everything else, do nothing but create an air of confusion, delusion, and misleading everybody in the name of covering up what happened to a 5-year-old. Guys, I didn't plan on saying a whole lot tonight. I've answered some questions as I've gone through the night. Every night, I always make sure I turn it over to you guys in the chat to make sure you guys have time to ask questions. I'm not doing an open panel tonight. I do often do that. I'm not doing that tonight. I apologize. That will happen on another night. Tonight is 100% about summer. Blessings to all. Thank you very much. I care about missing kids. I've talked about a 2-month-old. I've talked about Dylan Rounds. Any missing kid between the day they're born to their I say 19, if they're missing, I will do my best to talk about them. Darlene Spencer, I know you were probably lurking, or I didn't see you earlier. Thank you for coming out tonight. Trev Time, Carrie has been posting my email in the chat room several times, and it is in my About section. or should be in my about section. You're welcome to go ahead and email me. And anybody else that emails me, if you ever do so, and by the time I go to onto a live again and I don't respond to you, say something in my comments of a video that I just done, because it's very easy for emails to go to spam. So please let me know that you sent an email if I don't respond. Give me 36 hours to respond. If it's past that, say something. I will another night. It's not tonight. I want to have everybody remain focused on Summer Wells and what today is. Diane Solomon, thank you very much. Most of the content I've been putting out there is largely part of either going to be about Summer Wells, or when I have some updates or information on Evelyn Boswell, I do a live on her. And as I find stories about missing kids, I devote time to doing a live on them. The couch, a panda swimming pool, and a bunch of trash was shown. Where'd that comment go? I apologize. Rebecca Swindle, the couch, a panda swimming pool, and a bunch of trash were shown on a drone several months back. I do not remember the location of the drone. So at one time, I don't know if it was panda shaped or anything like that. I do know the Wells did have some trash, quite a bit of trash around the property, going back to September, going back to when summer disappeared. There was not only was there trash like blowing around, the locals that had reported to CPS at one point said there were rats running around the property, trash all over the place, barrels full of stuff that kids could get hurt with or by, and I do know they had at one point a little wading pool. If I remember the exact location, it wouldn't have been but a short distance from the where the tree swing was. What have I not heard about before? I know about Ziggy V, and there's a reason that she only ever appears on the channel that she does and talks to them. In my personal opinion, she actually needs to stop trying to rub Rose Bly's name into the ground, because what she's doing or had done is not correct, not right, not fair to um, uh, the kids and their dad. There you go. BB Diamond has the answer on that one. The pool had a panda shape to it. So it looks like that was the Wells property. And if that what pool was on there, it was before Summer had gone missing. From my understanding, that panda pool was thrown away or destroyed. All right. So anybody have any other questions before I go ahead and close out tonight? I can feel my voice is crackling a little bit and pink butterfly. I have a hard time believing that one. Um, it really did appear to me from things that were said, and I do not trust JSP at all. That she did not like other kids than her own, and the Wells were pretty much free spirits. They could go play wherever they wanted to. They didn't have to. They didn't care about boundaries. And so there may have been something along the lines of saying that my mom doesn't want you here. You need to go home. Would be a different story. If you didn't hear at the beginning of my show tonight, and this is how I'm going to end it tonight. So I'm going to say this now before I do say read this again. As custom on my channel, I do say that it's going on 10:15 tonight. Do you know where your kids are? If you do, text them, hug them, give them an extra hug. Do whatever you need to do to let them know that you care about them, and that you love them, because they deserve to know that. Began my show tonight with saying this. As children, we have all cherished every second we spent on a playground, a swing, in the backyard, or a trip to the local park to play. And even the moments we had to see our friends at school and and on a bus each day. As we start to become teenagers, we lose sight of those seconds. And those seconds turn into countless minutes. Slipping by, still, we look forward to seeing our first crush and then first dance with a significant other. Then we are the lucky ones that made it to adulthood. And those seconds and minutes slip into measuring the quarter, half, an hour as the important measurements. We are the lucky ones that get to look forward to the first legal drink, finding the love of our lives, and working hard to achieve the best that we can as an adult. 55,209,600 seconds have slipped by since summer disappeared at some point today. Some say it was early afternoon, and that the parents say that it was just after 6 p.m. And since then, it is in that time that the parents and neighbors of Summer Wells have misled, twisted, and tweaked information to try to change the narrative of not having summer since. As we turn to spring in just a few days and past 21-month mark and heading to summer in the 2-year anniversary, I can only hope that the pressure is only mounting on those that are and on those that are responsible for what happened to Summer. It is nearly unimaginable, in my opinion, that Summer was kidnapped. But instead, as more time passes, more likely that it was the parents. No matter the frailty that they portray here on YouTube, I hope that the events of today's custody hearing shakes them to the core, and they finally come forward with the truth as they have yet to bear in Summer's name. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Please keep Summer in your prayers, because I hope I am wrong. Good night, everybody. My name's RJ, and I'm out.